Hey guys, welcome back. It's Arabella. I hope you're living your best life. And today we are going to talk about the 10 most common methods of manipulation. So I first heard this referenced as a character thing by Abbie Emmons, and so I'll have her YouTube channel linked below. The girl knows her shit. So I totally don't remember which video she brought this up in. I couldn't tell you which one it was, but she briefly mentioned that as people, you know, our characters typically have a method of manipulation that they use to get what they want, and it's kind of how they go through daily life. So before we get to the actual manipulative tactics, I kind of wanted to talk about exactly what this is, kind of from more of a psychology standpoint, so you guys really understand what I'm talking about here, because the word manipulation has a lot of pretext. I feel like we all kind of maybe think we know exactly what that means, but just in case, I'm going to specify for everybody so you all know exactly what I'm talking about. So in life with human beings, which are characters, you know, we all of us have one type or several of things that we do that are slightly manipulative, and it's just human nature. This doesn't mean that you are a calculating little gnome sitting in your mom's basement plotting, you know, to ruin everybody's lives. That's not what it is. We are just... It is just how people are, okay? So, if you really want to write super realistic characters, finding out their preferred method of manipulation is going to be really insightful. Okay, so next, typically when we hear the phrase, "Oh, she's so manipulative," it's like typically this person or this character is seen as the bad guy or the antagonist or even the contagonist. If you don't know anything about that, watch my video. I'll link it above. It's like a hidden little archetype that I definitely think you should have in your novel. But anyway, so this is not synonymous with bad person, bad villain, bad guy, that type of thing. Like I said, everybody does this to one degree or another. And I would definitely not just pick this for your bad characters. You need to pick this for your protagonist, number one. I mean, of course, do it for your antagonist, that's fine. And, you know, maybe a couple other side characters. If you really want to get into it, do it with everybody, because it's only going to make everything all the more juicy. And next, not everybody who, you know, kind of works this way knows that they're working this way. So, for example, is your character going to know that this is how they manipulate people? Like, they strategize, they go into it, they just know how they are, and that's what it is? Or is a lot of this stuff kind of happening below the surface, and consciously they don't even realize they're doing it? I feel like the latter is much more common in real life, that, you know, the average, like, decent person wouldn't be like, "Oh yeah, I'm so manipulative." They'd be like, "No, I'm not. What do you mean?" But when I kind of go through what I'm really talking about here, you can see how this is really common to do it and not realize that you're doing it. So when you're thinking about exactly which one you want to give your character, you have to also consider, are they doing it consciously or not so consciously? They're just kind of being the way that they're gonna be. Okay, so let's get to the types of manipulation. So the one I have number one is the right fighter. I think Dr. Phil kind of named this one. So this is manipulative because this person who is the right fighter is constantly just, they got to be right about everything. They are the know-it-all, the one-upper. Like, I am going to be right, and it doesn't matter if, you know, another point is valid or whatever. they are going to be right fighters, and they push that being right over anything. Or you know how some people, like, they need to, like, be right to win, like those types, you know. Number 2 is the constant victim. So this is the person who is just like, no matter what, everyone is out to get them. They are always, you know, something is always happening to them, and it's always poor me, himmy ha, like, oh my god, everybody hates me, like that type. They're constantly the victim, and it's what they get out of that is just the, oh, are you okay? Like, I can't believe it. You know, it's like a sympathy baiting kind of thing. Next is the overly dependent. So this person uses manipulation by causing somebody else or a group of somebody else's to see them, the manipulator, as so incapable of living their lives that this other group has to take care of them and has to be there so they can survive and to live, you know. Like, maybe think of the, like, 30-something-year-old, like, failure to launch, you know, like, I was watching, speaking of Dr. Phil, I was watching a Dr. Phil of this kid, this guy, he was like 30, who like couldn't even shower, and he was such a lazy bum, and his parents were like, well, he's like literally incapable of it, and there was nothing wrong with him physically, he was just that. He was manipulating them that way, okay? So, number 4 is, oh, I had an old friend like this one. They call it triangulators. So, this is a sneaky mother who will get others to come to their side, therefore ditching, hating, shaming, or whatever somebody else. So it's basically like them doing a what do they call it in Sir Mix-a-Lot? Drop it, flip it, and reverse it. There you go. That's what they're doing. They are they are kind of manipulating the situation to where if you had a group of people and, you know, something happened between the two, this triangulator is going to come and bring, you know, people over to their side and leave somebody else, you know, either alone, friendless. You know, I had a situation like this happen to me many years ago, and it's awful. And it's very sneaky, so watch out for that shit. But that would be a really good way to write fiction, though. Like, this is a good one to put for maybe an antagonist or something. So number 5 is projectors. So these are the people that are like constantly accusing other people of the exact sneaky shit that they themselves are doing. I don't know if you've watched the news lately, or, you know, we're, you know, at the timing of this video, we're filming late October 2020. I don't know if, you know, anybody comes to mind, you know, a public figure, not a pumpkin, but almost like a pumpkin. I don't know if you're picking up on what I'm throwing down, but yeah, that type of thing where they're just constantly saying, you're doing this, they're doing this, I can't believe how could they, blah, 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 but then they are actually doing it themselves, and they can't, they're like telling on themselves. It's human nature to kind of tell on yourself, which I find extremely funny, and that's what the projector does. It's kind of, it's just a deflection kind of technique. So yeah. Number 6, this one's kind of funny. It's the on-purpose misinterpreter. So this is the person who, when, let's say they were told something or given a task or whatever, and then they're like, something happens, and they're like, oh, but I didn't know. I didn't understand. What do you mean? Yeah, that's on purpose. Kind of like that excuse, where they say the ignorance of the law is not an excuse. You know, it doesn't keep you from being in trouble if you didn't understand the law. But in terms of less serious situations, they benefit from this because they are getting off the hook. They're not in as much trouble as they would have been had they known better. So yeah, watch out for that one too. Number 7 is just straight up aggressive. Like, this one's pretty self-explanatory. This is the person who is just going to use their power, their authority, their just intimidation techniques to just plow through somebody or a group or whatever. They are just so aggressive that a lot of people are just like, oh, okay, I just don't want to deal with you. Just go, just get it. I don't care. I don't even think I need to say much more on that. The next one is the complete opposite of that, which is passive aggression. So this is where somebody who, they're aggressive but in like a really roundabout type of way. They don't really have what it takes to be that in-your-face aggressive, like the one from just before, like there's just the prime aggressive person. So they will go and do things in a really roundabout way. Like, think of the friend who has an issue with you and then they go to like all the other friends in the group and bitch about it. That's passive aggression. Or like, my mom does this a lot where she's like, we go somewhere and she's like, oh, well, I hope there's money in the bank. And I'm just like, Mom, can't you just ask me to check the bank? And she just like cannot ask me to check the bank. She has to like make it like this passive aggressive thing. So, you know, that one is really unintentional. And a lot of it comes from like people pleasing mentality and just, it's hard to come to somebody with your issues. I understand that. But yeah, passive aggression is one of the most common ones that I see in people, and also the one where I feel like it is a lot more under the surface or behind the scenes type of thing. Okay, number 9. This is a bad one. If you see this one in your life, I am telling you, run. I don't care how pretty he or she is. I don't care what they say. If you see any signs of this, run for your life. And it is gaslighting. This is some serious shit. And it's great for a villain character. Or, I mean, even your protagonist, if you want to go there. I love great protagonists. But gaslighting is some shit. I'm gonna read my definition here. It says, taking real events and twisting them to serve their own specific purposes. Up is down, left is right, the sky is pink, and their goal is to make things so topsy-turvy and so upside down that you actually question your own sanity. Like, if you go into a conversation saying, hey, I saw that you did this, it upset me, can we work on it? They would just be like, but I wouldn't have done that if it wasn't for you, and blah, 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 blah. And then you're like, well, okay, I guess this is my fault because I'm such an awful person and I should feel awful for even suggesting that, you know, you might have done something, you know? Like, it is just, it's bad. I don't think people, I don't know. I think people who are gaslighting know that they're gaslighting. I don't know if there's ignorance behind that. Gaslighting comes with a lot of other issues that, you know, have narcissistic tendencies. But, I mean, that is a video for another day. Like, I'm talking more just basic psychology here. That's like deep psychology. But there's a lot of other videos on narcissism and gaslighting on YouTube. If you really want to craft a character like that. But like I said, if you see this in your life, just please, just don't. You can't fix them. Just don't. And number 10, which I have been guilty of maybe sometimes, is the silent treatment. It's not my main one. It's, you know, I am a firm believer that we all use several of these in our lives. The silent treatment. This one is where you are punishing somebody, or you are upset, or you're trying to get something that you want, and you just are, you're not speaking to somebody, you are just giving them the silent treatment. You know, my lady is watching, like, I'm sure you've done this once or twice too, and you're just like, I'm done, I can't. And it's not as malicious as some of the others, but it is definitely a form of manipulation. So those are my 10. I definitely recommend you Google this on your own and try to kind of maybe find some of these that will work with your characters. And I do recommend giving your big characters at least 2, you know, and this doesn't have to be like a super driving force, you know, you can really tie these into mental illness or, you know, PTSD, or just like, you know, sometimes people use these to just function, to just get through the day, and it's not about pointing a finger and judging people in real life or exploiting anything in our fiction. It's about taking life and making art out of it and making our books and our stories and our characters as real as possible, because that's what readers really want from us. They want the real world, and it's not just evil people who are manipulative, okay? We all are. When I was, you know, researching this topic and trying to decide all the ones that I wanted to put down on here, which there were many, I could go on for days. There's a lot. It really got me thinking about what I do myself and the people in my life and what I've seen from friends and boyfriends and family and all of that. So no one is exempt, and it doesn't make you bad for having a trait that is on this list. We are not here to judge. We are here to craft great characters from real life, and that is my goal. So I hope you liked this one. I hope you took notes. Should have said that at the beginning, but you know, you can always watch it again. Take notes then. Okay, so like, subscribe, hit the bell, and join the army. Okay, I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye!